There's a question that almost nobody is asking. While the world watches billionaires pour money into tech companies, space rockets, and real estate empires, something else is quietly happening. Something older, something far more private. The richest people on Earth are buying horses, not casually, not as a side hobby, strategically, aggressively, and in numbers that will genuinely shock you. So the real question is, why? What do they know that the rest of us don't? Because when people at that level of wealth start moving in the same direction, there's always a reason. And today, we're going to find out exactly what that reason is. Let's start with something most people get completely wrong. When they hear billionaire buys horse, they picture a rich person enjoying a weekend ride on a country estate. Relaxed, recreational, a rich person's version of a pet. But that image couldn't be further from the truth. Because the horses these people are buying aren't recreational animals. They are financial instruments, living, breathing assets that generate returns in ways most traditional investments simply can't match. And once you understand the mechanics behind it, the whole thing starts to make perfect sense. The first reason the ultra-wealthy are pouring money into horses comes down to one word: scarcity. In a world where money is abundant at the top, the only thing that truly holds value is what cannot be mass-produced. You can print more currency, you can build more real estate, you can launch more companies, but you cannot manufacture a champion bloodline. You cannot rush centuries of genetic refinement, and you absolutely cannot replicate a horse that carries the right combination of speed, stamina, intelligence, and lineage. That kind of asset is finite, and finite in the world of extreme wealth means everything. A top-tier thoroughbred from an elite bloodline is not just rare today, it's rare permanently, because the bloodline either exists or it doesn't. The genetics are either there or they're not. And when the right horse comes to market, the people who understand this don't hesitate. They move fast, they pay whatever it takes, because they know what's sitting in front of them. The second reason is something most financial advisors won't tell you about. Horses, specifically racehorses and elite breeding stallions, can generate returns that rival and sometimes exceed traditional investment vehicles. Here's how it works. A billionaire purchases a promising thoroughbred yearling for $5 million. That horse goes on to win major races. Its value immediately increases. But the real money doesn't come from the winnings. It comes from what happens after the racing career ends. That horse becomes a breeding stallion, and suddenly it's generating income every single year without ever stepping onto a track again. The top stallions in the world command breeding fees of $100,000 to $200,000 per covering, some even higher, and they cover dozens of mares every season. Run those numbers, and you're looking at millions of dollars in annual income from a single animal. Over a career that can span 15 to 20 years, a champion stallion can generate well over $100 million from one horse. That's not a hobby return, that's a serious financial play. And the billionaires who figured this out early have built entire empires around it. Coolmore Stud in Ireland, Godolphin in Dubai, Juddmonte Farms, which spans the United States, Britain, and Ireland. These are not passion projects. These are globally operating businesses built entirely around horses, run with the same precision and strategy as any Fortune 500 company. But it doesn't stop at racehorses, because the investment case for horses goes far beyond the track. Arabian horses, for example, are one of the most strategically acquired assets in the Middle East. Royal families in Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar don't just own Arabians for cultural reasons, though that connection runs deep. They own them because purebred Arabians with documented lineage are appreciating assets. The right horse from the right bloodline, properly marketed and presented at elite auctions, can sell for anywhere between $2 million and $15 million. And the breeding rights attached to that horse, entirely separate, entirely additional. This is a market with serious global demand, and the supply is tightly controlled, which means the people who own the best bloodlines hold enormous leverage. They don't chase buyers, buyers come to them.
There's another layer to this that goes beyond pure finance, and it might actually be the most powerful driver of all. Horses are one of the only investments in the world that carry genuine social capital. Not the kind you post about online, the kind that opens doors that money alone cannot open. Because the horse world, at its highest level, operates like a private club, an extremely exclusive one. And membership isn't purchased, it's earned through knowledge, through bloodlines, through reputation built over years. When a billionaire enters this world seriously, they don't just gain an asset, they gain access. Access to a network of royal families, old money dynasties, influential figures across multiple countries who all share this one deeply private passion. Relationships are formed at private auctions that no camera ever enters. Deals are made at breeding farms that never appear in any press release. This is a world that runs entirely on trust and exclusivity. And for people at the very top of global wealth, that kind of access is genuinely priceless. Now here's something that rarely gets discussed. Horses also function as a hedge. When stock markets crash, when currencies weaken, when geopolitical instability shakes traditional financial markets, elite horses hold their value in ways that surprise people. Because the demand for top bloodlines doesn't disappear during downturns. If anything, it concentrates. The ultra-wealthy continue to buy, the middle tier exits the market, and what's left is a cleaner, more controlled space where the serious players operate. This is exactly why so many family offices and wealth managers are starting to pay attention, because a carefully assembled portfolio of elite horses, spanning bloodlines, disciplines, and geographies, behaves differently from stocks, bonds, or real estate. It moves to its own rhythm. And in a world where diversification is everything, that matters. And then there's the lifestyle element, which is real and which shouldn't be dismissed just because it sounds indulgent. The richest people in the world are not just buying horses for spreadsheet reasons. They're buying into a way of life that connects them to something ancient, something physical, something that cannot be digitized or automated. In a world increasingly driven by screens, algorithms, and artificial speed, horses represent the opposite. They are slow, they are real, they demand presence, they reward patience. And for people who spend their lives operating at maximum intensity, that grounding is genuinely valuable. Many of the most serious horse owners in the world describe it the same way. They came in for the investment, they stayed for the connection, because there is something about a horse that no financial return can replicate, an animal that responds to you honestly, that asks nothing except your attention and care. In a world built on transactions, that simplicity is extraordinary. So why are the richest people in the world investing in horses? Because horses offer something almost nothing else can. Scarcity that cannot be manufactured, returns that compound across generations, social access that money alone cannot buy, a hedge that moves independently of traditional markets, and a connection to something timeless in a world that is constantly changing. This isn't a trend, it's a recognition that the oldest forms of wealth, the ones built on living things, on bloodlines, on legacy, are still the most powerful. They always have been. The billionaires moving into this space aren't doing something new, they're doing something ancient. They're just doing it with more zeros. And if you think the investment side of this world is fascinating, wait until you see what the most expensive horses ever sold actually went for. The numbers in the next video are going to make everything we just talked about feel modest. That one is worth staying for.